Salvete discipuli et discipuli. This is Mrs. Macy coming to you from the Macy lair, meaning my basement. Today I'm going to teach you a little lesson about annotating Latin sentences. You're probably wondering, Mrs. Macy, what the heck are you talking about? What's annotating mean? So very quickly, annotating, if you're not familiar, some of you probably know and some of you might not. Annotating is just a really fancy word for writing notes about a passage. It could be in English class, it could be in language class, it could be in even history class. So you're just writing little notes about a passage or a sentence that you're reading. In Latin, we annotate for grammar mainly. So annotating Latin sentences is what we're talking about today. We're just labeling certain things in our sentences. That's our main focus. I'm going to give you a few example sentences and show you how to properly annotate them. When you are translating a sentence, after a while, it should become a habit that you are annotating every single part of speech that I'm outlining here in your sentences. And it should become your first nature to be able to just go through and identify what the subject is in the sentence, if there's any direct object, if there always has to be a verb for there to be a complete sentence, and if there are any prepositional phrases, you should also identify those. Now, of course, there's a really important reason why I want you to do this. It's not just because, oh, we should label everything and it's label everything, label all the things. That's not really why. If you label what a subject is, what your direct object is, what your verb is, what a prepositional phrase is in the sentence, then it helps you be able to translate the sentence correctly and avoid common translation mistakes. So in this first sentence, it says, Davus servum reprehendit. What in the heck is my subject here? Is it Davus? Is it servum? Or is it reprehendit? I need to know which one is my subject so that I can translate my sentence correctly, because my sentence 99% of the time is going to start with my subject. My subject's the one doing the action. So the subject in this sentence is Davus. How can I tell? Because Davus ends in a US, that is a masculine subject ending that we've all learned. So that's one way I can tell. The other way I can tell is servum ends in a UM, and that is not typically a subject ending. So Davus is our subject, he's the one doing the action. And what is the action word in this sentence? Is it servum or is it reprehendit? I'm going to say it's reprehendit because servum, like I said, is not a subject, and that should have keyed you into the fact that it's also a noun. So reprehendit is our verb. Reprehendit is the verb. Yes. How do I know it's the verb? Because it ends in a T. Remember, OST, mus, tis, nt are our present tense verb endings. Okay, so Davus is our subject, reprehendit is our verb, and then what is Davus reprehendit? So Davus scolds is what that is so far. I can write that down under it because I know already it means Davus scolds, that's reprehendit. Who is he scolding? That's the question that I ask when I look at the verb. I look at reprehendit because it's my verb, and I ask the question, who or what? And your answer is your direct object. Who is Davus scolding? He's scolding the slave. That's my direct object. So in this sentence, I've got a subject, I've got a direct object, and a verb. And so now my sentence is going to be, Davus scolds, servum is the slave. Notice how labeling or annotating my sentence helped me translate this sentence correctly. Now that's a pretty simple sentence. Let's move on to one that's a little more complex. So sextus, puer molestus, arborum insua ascendit. I gave myself a little space there so that I could annotate the sentence. We always start translating with our subject. Subjects. Subjects are great. Subjects do the action of the sentence. Okay, so what's my subject? Again, it's the word that ends in a US because it happens to be another masculine subject. That would be sextus. Some of you might be saying, well, can't molestus be my subject too because it ends in a US? Here's where you need to know the difference between a subject and an adjective. Now, I'm not making you label the adjectives, but molestus is an adjective and it means annoying. Sextus, puer molestus, it's just renaming. Puer molestus is a complement. That's renaming sextus. So you could also say that puer molestus is the subject, but sextus is our first subject and we're going to leave it at that. So sextus, puer molestus, arborum insua ascendit. What's my action? Where's my verb? What is sextus doing? So, is it puer molestus? No, we already said that that's a complement renaming sextus. Is it arborum? Well, no, sextus can't tree. Can he silva? No, sextus can't forest either. So what about ascendit? Sextus climbs. Yes, and it ends in a T, O-S-T, mustis enti. Ascendit is our verb. So I label that with a V. I'm color coding it. You can always color code your annotations as well. So sextus is our subject in red. Ascendit is the verb with green. And then we need to figure out, is there anything else in the sentence that I want to label? I want you to label all subjects, verbs, direct objects, and prepositional phrases. So we need to see if there's a direct object and or a prepositional phrase. Do I see a direct object? Yes, I do. It's arborum. How do I know that that's my direct object? Because it ends in an EM. AM, UM, and EM are my singular direct object endings. So here's arborum. I tend to label my direct object or accusative words in blue with DO, direct object. And the other way that I know it's a direct object is I look at my verb, ascendit. Okay, looking at my verb, ascendit there. I ask the question who or what. What does sextus climb? Sextus climbs the tree. Therefore, it passes both of my direct object tests. And now I need to see if there's a prepositional phrase in this sentence. So first, you need to look for a preposition. Is there in, ex, sub, per, any of those preposition words? Yes, in. I see in sua. So in is my preposition. What goes with in? All the nouns and adjectives that go with my preposition are in my prepositional phrase. Well, ascendit's definitely not in that phrase because it's a verb. It's not a noun or an adjective, and it's already labeled. So that means it's got to be in sua is my prepositional phrase. And I'm just going to write prep. And now my sentence is all labeled. And there is one more sentence that we're going to go through. Cornelia et Flavia, our famous friends. Sub arbore sedent et Legunt, quod amicae sunt. Yes, amicae, they are friends. Remember I said that they're besties. Okay. First thing I label is my subject. Then I go to the verb or verbs. Then I do direct objects. And if there's a prepositional phrase, I do that as well. Subjects, verbs, direct objects, prepositional phrases. 4 things I label in my sentence. Okay. Subject is Cornelia et Flavia. It's a compound subject. You can underline the whole thing. Usually I wouldn't include the et, but you can because it's a compound subject. Cornelia et Flavia is my subject. They're the ones doing the action. So what are my verbs? See, an ost musticerenti. Yes, 2 times. Actually 3. There are 3 verbs in this sentence. Oh my. So sedent, legunt, and sunt are all verbs. Now sunt is not an action verb. It's not an action. It just means are. But it's still a verb. Verbs are words of action and being. So sedent is they sit, legunt is they read, and sunt means they are. There's my 3 verbs. Now I need to see, are there any direct objects? Are there? Oh, sure, yeah, amica is a direct object. Yep, that looks like a direct object. What do you think? No, amica is not a direct object. Okay, there are no direct objects in this sentence. Nothing ends in an M or an OS, AS, or ES either. So how about a prepositional phrase? Do you see any prepositions in this sentence? Yes, yes, you do. Sub is a prepositional phrase. We love sub because it's under. Sub, under, like submarine. Okay, so sub arbore, under the tree. Tree is a noun, it goes with sub, that's my prepositional phrase. I'm going to put prep. Yay, and I've labeled all 3 of my sentences. That is how you annotate a Latin sentence, and that is what I want you to do for every sentence that you translate.